Hi everyone! In this tutorial we are going to talk about variables and different data types. Let's use example that we created in the last tutorial. We have a basic console application that prints the simple text. Let's say that we want to print this exactly the same text multiple times. So I'm going to copy paste this line in order to do that. It doesn't matter how many times we print it. And if I run the application, you'll be able to see that we are printing the same text multiple times. Let's say that at some point we need to change this text in all the lines. So it would require us to go all over the lines and change it manually. This is an example. As you can see, it could be really time consuming and it's not very practical. So that's why we need a variable. Variable is storage for data. So let's discuss how we can create our first variable. We need to know something about data types and identifiers. So what is the data type? There are multiple data types which says what kind of data that variable can store. There is something called integer, which can store different kind of numbers, positive numbers, negative numbers, and so on. There is data type called string, which can store the text. Also, there is float, which is used for storing numbers with decimal points, like 5.25. Double is exactly the same as float, but with higher precision, 5.25, 0.25, and so on. Also, there is something called bool, which could be true or false. There are multiple more, but I won't explain that in this tutorial because we won't need it. So what about identifier? We need something that you identify our variable. There are a few rules that we need to follow when speaking of identifiers. Identifier cannot start with number. Also, it cannot contain white spaces like this. And I think that's pretty much it that we need for now. So let's create our first variable. So we want to create a variable and store this text inside it. So in future, if there is a requirement to change this text, we can change it only at one place. So we need something called string because we want to store the text and we want to give it some kind of identifier. Let's say simple text. So this is the data type of the variable and this is the identifier of the variable. And we want to store this text. So what we need to do is to go through all the lines and replace this. It takes some time for me to do that. So if we run the application, you will be able to see that we changed the text in all the lines. So let's say that at some point I need to change it to another text, for example, another text. I need to do that only at one place because we are printing the value of the variable. If I run the application, you will be able to see that it's changed. So it's much simpler than it used to be. And this is one of the use cases, of many use cases of variables. So I think that would be pretty much it for this tutorial. This is just basic example of variables use case, but it should be enough for following tutorials. I hope that you enjoyed and see you in the next one.